excited to be back home. Obviously, really pleased coming off of 2 road wins, 2 tough, hard-fought, very different games that our guys found a way to win, and had multiple players on each night step up and make huge plays on both sides of the ball for us, and just complete team efforts. And we've talked about it a couple times in here in these press conferences that those are probably games in November and December I don't know that we come out on the right side of. And so just proud of our guys and their growth, their belief that they've had, and that was all really evident throughout the course of both of those games, that playing against teams that are fighting for their lives coming down the stretch here, and that's everybody, and everybody's trying to play their best basketball and fighting for seeding, obviously, as we get ready for the conference tournament, and withstood 2 big punches from 2 good teams, and proud of our guys for responding and coming up with just enough plays to get the wins.
Yeah, for all the talk about who's going to start, who's not, kind of throughout the year, here, especially these last few games, you've had so many minutes with all 3 of those guards on the floor at the same time. Just can you talk a little bit about how you've been able to use them together, all 3? What it means maybe going with a little bit smaller lineup, and just how that's been effective for you, especially kind of late in games.
Yeah, we've always played those guys a stretch together on the court each and every game. I think as of late, they've done a great job of adjusting to what the offensive game plan is against whether it's Georgia Southern's switching and hedging, or it's the drop coverage and not switching that we saw against Coastal. And what we're able to do with those guys is we probably just kind of simplify what we do, and we're a little more skilled in terms of our passing and shooting. The court that those guys get to play on is a little bit bigger because of their skill set and how they can really make each other better. And so you don't have to rely as heavily on your playbook, and you do give up a little bit of size, you give up a little bit of rebounding on both sides of the ball, but certainly those guys being able to play to their strengths and making each other better, just it makes it very difficult for our opponents to be able to guard. But those 3 guards in particular deserve a ton of credit for just their ability to absorb our game plan and apply that, whether that's 3 of them being out there or 2 of them at the same time. And they've certainly proven that that's a good lineup for us that can work against multiple coverages.
How about defensively with those 3 out there? Obviously, it makes you smaller, but do you see much drop off in the numbers when you look at it?
Not a ton. I think we really did a great job, or those guys rather did a great job when we in the second half of just playing to their strength again, which was just being a little quicker, being a little bit more disruptive, flying around. And we were able to put ourselves in some intentional scrambles that, because of their speed, quickness, and kind of their instincts, they were able to get us out of those scrambles and get the stops that we needed. So there hasn't been a huge drop-off, honestly, from the defensive side of the ball. It does allow you to do, maybe play with a little bit more intensity and pressure than you otherwise normally would, which you need to do to kind of offset that lack of size.
Talk about Mark a little bit and the stretch that he's on. Obviously, everybody talks about him coming off the bench, and that's not really when it started, but it kind of coincides with that. Averaging over 21 points per game during that stretch, but it took him some time. He didn't play at all last year. Did you expect it to maybe take a little time for him to get together again and do what he's doing right now? And is he playing about as well as you've seen him play during your time with him?
Well, I'll start with that. I think he's playing the best basketball of his career. This is Mark's 3rd year with us. We coached against him for 2 years, and then a year that we kept an eye on him when he was in the Missouri Valley Conference. And so this is far and away the most efficient, best basketball that he's playing, obviously winning. And so he just deserves so much credit for that. But we expected it might take a little bit of time. We've had guys over the years who had set out for a season, whether that dates back to 4 years ago where transfers had to sit out for a year, or players coming off of injury. It takes a little time to kind of shake the rust off and get back in the flow of the game. And so I don't know that it took him a lot of time to do that, but to become as consistent as he is right now, there's a little bit of curve with that. And then obviously coming up a league, playing here, and then having a different role. You know, he's playing great, but his leadership, the way he commands the team, the way he gets others involved, and then finds the balance of being able to kind of put that cape on and take games over. Those are all new combined roles for him that he's seeing against better competition here. And so just really proud of him, the way that he's been playing, the confidence that he's got. And again, I said it last week, the way he's handled, coming off the bench, that's been the best thing for our team, and obviously he's been the beneficiary of that. And so we as a team, it's changed the complexion of our team. Everybody has just become more selfless and more humble and, sold out for what's best for our team because he's led us in that way.
Talk about your bench a little bit. Obviously, JT stepped up in a big-time way on Saturday, but before that, I mean, you've had other guys. Noah down at Georgia State had 11 points in that stretch. Guys have always been ready. Maybe they don't get as many minutes as they want throughout the season, but it seems like guys are ready. Is that something you're proud of with even Will coming off the bench or anybody, whoever it is, that they've stayed ready when you've asked them and their number's been called?
Without question, because that's a really difficult thing to do, right? For example, what Mark's doing is difficult in its own right, but you're kind of riding the wave, right? You're riding the high right now. So for those guys, it's a totally different challenge. You don't know how much you're going to play or if you're going to play, and then what does that do, to your confidence, not just on game days, but the other 5 days a week that we're practicing and preparing. How does that affect your approach? And so all of those guys have been able to come in and provide us something and give us a boost, whether it be statistically on the offensive side of the ball. We're doing some really good things defensively. I credited Noah. He came in and you and I talked about it in the post game. Average fan would have no idea what he came in and did defensively, but he did exactly what we had drawn up and talked about. Then he committed a foul shortly after and had to come to the bench. But the guys on the bench who subbed in for him, they were able to see, hey, that's what coach is talking about. That's how we need to defend this type of possession to get this stop. And so those things mean a lot. And, JT deserves so much credit because it's tough, right? I get it. Everybody wants to play. And he has a incredible self-awareness, humility, and toughness. We've always said about JT, and this is the best compliment I can give any player, he's an everyday guy, right? And we've said that about a couple of our guys before, but you're not able to withstand that challenge of not getting to play for a few games, get your number called, come in, and impact winning the way that he did and ultimately get us over the hump if you're not an everyday guy. And so really proud of him for doing that, and all those guys that you mentioned just for being able to, once their number is called, give the team what they need.
Let's talk about Georgia State. Since you guys played them in Atlanta, they've played very well. Just one loss at App State, a close game. But talk about them a little bit and what challenges they present.
I think they're an unbelievably talented team. They kind of check every box, right? They've got great size. They've been shooting the ball tremendously as of late, and they're going to shoot it from 4, sometimes even 5 spots. They've got bigs that can score inside. They can step out and do some things. So they're a problem. They really are. They're a much better team, and we said that before we played them a few weeks ago than what their record was showing, and that's the respect that we have for them, their players, and their staff, and they've been, really demonstrating that since we went down there and beat them. I think they're shooting an incredible over their last 6 games since we played them. Close to 50% from the 3, which is just awesome. The rebound in the ball, Cesar Edwards is playing lights out. We did a good job against him. And by good job, I mean we got him in foul trouble and he didn't play. I don't know, the minutes he played, I don't know if we did a great job on him down there. So we've got to do a better job because if we defend him, for 40 minutes the way that we did in the limited minutes he got, we're going to be in trouble. So we've got to do a better job there. But they're playing really well. They're playing with a lot of confidence. They're playing faster. They're scoring, I think, 11, 12 more points per game than what they were going into our matchup. So this is a game that the two teams that are playing the best in our league right now matching up, and so that makes an exciting matchup as you head into the last couple weeks of the season.
Kind of wanted to throw it back a little bit. I remember after the Arkansas State game, X ended up coming up here saying the fact that you guys were picked second, that they still feel like this is our conference. And throughout the run you guys have kind of gone on throughout past month, how's the confidence kind of been, or maybe that buy-in throughout the team throughout this stretch that this may be our conference, that the buy-in continues growing?
Yeah, I just think seeing the success, right? We're really. I know you hate this part, but we don't make it any bigger than the game or the practice that is at hand right now. But seeing the success and finding new ways to win games, whether that's guys stepping up, making plays that maybe hadn't played as much, or executing a game plan, or fighting from being down and finding a way to come back and make just enough plays, or winning with your discipline is something we talk about a lot. And so, it gives those guys that belief. And, again, we really don't look at the standings. I know the players probably do, but, we're not going to talk about it with them or anything like that because we don't want to distract them. But X believed that at that point in time when he said that after Arkansas State, and that's a testament to him and his belief in our team and where this program is within the league, and credit him for kind of being the catalyst of that with the rest of our guys, because now they obviously believe it as well, and we've got our opportunities to be able to prove it.
We talk about some of the games you won this past weekend you may not have won in November or December, and we're talking about bench depth and being picked second. These are all things we were talking about at the beginning of the season that at first we didn't, maybe it didn't look like it was going to manifest right away, but it's coming now. Just talk a lot about how much this team has just grown. And was there kind of a turning point in this season that you feel like things started to really pick up and this team kind of hit that potential that we kind of knew that they could hit at the beginning of the season?
Without question. It's such a different process with each and every team, right? And I think that's the challenge in coaching nowadays, right, is you have so many new players. You've got to figure each of those guys out. For our staff, it was figuring out a brand new team within a brand new conference. And, we had an extremely difficult non-conference schedule. If you take a look at the teams that we've played and where they're setting within their respective leagues right now, they're all winning. They're all very good, which is what we knew they were going to do. And we also knew when we played them that they were going to test us. And so I would tell you that a turning point for myself and the staff that ultimately became a turning point for our team was the South Alabama loss. And I remember sitting here and talking about that, saying this is going to be a pivotal point in our season, telling our team that, telling you guys that, but it's up to us to decide what we're going to do with it. And I think our guys responded, beautifully from there, right? We won 3 in a row for the first time all year off of that South Alabama loss, and then obviously put us in the position that we are now. But we need that, right? That adversity is really important so that it kind of shows you how far you've got to go, and it allows you to kind of face the truth of what you've got to do to get better, and credit these guys that they've certainly bought in and been able to do that.
Has there kind of been a realization in the locker room of just kind of, you guys are entering the final stretch, final 2 home games this week. Has there been kind of that moment of like, wait, like this is kind of coming to a head at this point. This might not last very long.
It'll happen this week, right? Because obviously you open up your app and you look, and it's like, oh, there's not another page to flip to see how many games are left. You can see it all in one snapshot. And so there's different approaches to that each and every year. With this team, when we get together with them today, the approach is going to be without looking too far ahead. I think it's important to address it. You say, hey, we got 4 games left. It's 4 shoot-arounds. That's X amount of film sessions and different things that we do to lead into getting prepared for a game. And so kind of just showing them that. But there's 2 ways of looking at it. You can say, wow, it's almost over, or you can say, hey, we're almost there. Right. And so for us, it's focusing on these are how many opportunities we have to get better. Right. There's no pressure. It's not, hey, we need to win X amount of these. These are how many days, these are how many opportunities that we have to be locked in to get better. And let's not waste any of those. And I think if you keep your focus there, then you'll be in the exact position that you are at this current moment, and still be able to respect the fact that you're towards the end of the season and what that means.
We understand that you want to keep your focus on the next game, but as you move along throughout the course of the season, win number 17 means you've secured a winning record. It's the first 5-game winning streak. I think Shane did that research there, or 5 seasons of winning records going back to the Drizel era, so it goes back,
wow,
quite a ways. Is that the type of a mid-season or a late season, a milestone that you do take any credit for or credence in?
Well, it means a lot. That's really, that I didn't realize that. I appreciate you guys that are good with numbers, doing that for me, because if you left that up to me, we'd have no idea what records were being made, I tell you. But that's special, right? Because that's something that honors so many people, right? Mark obviously did an incredible job here for 4 years. I'm not here if it weren't for the great job that Mark did and kind of laid the foundation. People like yourselves, the administration, our fans. There's so much that goes into building a program and sustaining the success. And so I'm very thankful to be a part of that. And that's a great number that, we're not going to take too much time and stop and pause and brag on it, but it certainly deserves a lot of attention, because there's a lot of people that sacrifice a lot of things for this program to be able to sustain that type of success. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and I'm thankful to be a part of it, and hopefully we can continue that, for more than 5 years. We can make it 10 years, right? But let's just try to make it 18 wins right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Mark Freeman's been a story in conference play, but I wanted to talk a little bit about Bryce Lindsey as well. I mean, he got off to a hot start shooting the ball from three this year. He's still at 42%, but I wanted to talk about his two-point efficiency. I think he's above 62%. What have you seen in conference play? What have you seen from him in terms of being able to keep that efficiency in the paint as well as from three?
Well, he's growing, as a complete player, and really on both sides of the ball. He's really, I've said it in here a few weeks ago, kind of telling on himself that he's a better defender than maybe what we gave him credit for earlier in the year. And I think a lot of his growth and his success we've seen on the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball is just his overall maturity. His approach to every day, coming in, watching film, learning, being better at the details, and putting himself in better position on both sides of the ball is a big reason for that. And I'm a firm believer that the better you shoot it from three, the better you're going to end up shooting it from the two, right? And so Bryce and I had a conversation about that about 4 weeks ago. He loves Steph Curry. That's his favorite player. And I asked him, I said, do you think Steph's like the fastest point guard, in the NBA? He said, no, not even close. I said, well, the reason that people have to guard him, the pickup point on Steph is so incredibly high is because he's the greatest shooter the game's ever seen. And so welcome to that category. If you want to become faster, you want people to guard you, then you become an elite shooter. And when that happens, the court opens up. Closeouts become longer, people play you tighter, and then you got an opportunity to showcase what you can do off the bounce. And so that's a testament to Bryce really listening and applying, the things that we're trying to, teach him and get him to understand about his overall game. And then he's the guy that's going in there and finishing those shots, but he's building his game off of his greatest strength, which is his ability to shoot it.